At the start of the movie, we enter a fantastical realm filled with magic. In this world, two powerful magicians are battling fiercely over a beautiful princess. One of the magicians, named Cornamore, is portrayed as a dark and evil figure, while the other, Finn, is a kind-hearted magician who deeply loves the princess. Finn is determined to rescue her. The princess is protected by a magical shield, which makes it impossible for Finn to reach her without facing dire consequences. When he attempts to break through the shield, he is suddenly transformed into an old man, losing all of his magical abilities. In a cruel twist, Cornamore then turns the princess into stone statue and steals their love potion, which he uses to increase his own power. Fast forward 100 years, and we find a man named Ruslan, pretending to be the infamous magician in a bustling city. He stands before a crowd, but it's all an act. Ruslan, along with his friend, performs stories from books to entertain the townspeople and earn for living. However, his performances don't seem to impress many, and Ruslan struggles to make ends meet, as his storytelling skills are not quite up to par. The story then changes to focus on a princess named Mila. She has lost her mother and feels trapped by her father, the king, who insists that she must marry. Although Mila is of age and ready for marriage, but she dreams of living life on her own terms. She wants to explore the world, take risks, and experience adventures. But her father reminds her that as a princess, she has responsibilities to the kingdom. Mila, determined to follow her own path, refuses to listen to her father's demands. Seizing a chance to escape, she bravely runs away from the palace. Meanwhile, Ruslan is in the market with his adorable pet bird. Unfortunately, he accidentally bumps into a horse and falls down. The three princes who are responsible for the horse's presence, even though it was really their fault. But instead of taking responsibility, they want to blame Ruslan. Among these three, only one brother named Farlif is clever. Farlif enjoys making fun of Ruslan and then brags about going to marry the kingdom's princess. Later that night, we see Mila escaping from her palace and wandering through the city streets. Some robbers spot her and demand the locket around her neck, which is the last thing she has from her mother. She manages to escape from them and runs away, but they keep chasing her. Eventually, she finds Ruslan and asks for his help, saying that two men are after her and she feels unsafe. Ruslan reassured Mila, saying, "Don't worry, I'm a skilled warrior, and I'll protect you." Mila kept her secret about being a princess, and Ruslan didn't mention that he was just an actor and not a real warrior. Suddenly, the thieves showed up, and Ruslan bravely fought them off with his clever moves, saving Mila in the process. Afterward, he took her to a safe place. Mila then shared her story about escaping from home because her father wanted her to marry a prince she didn't love. She just wanted to live freely and chase her dreams. Ruslan replied, "If you believe in me, I can help make your dreams come true." He then led her to a spot where he planned to show her the sunrise. Mila hadn't revealed her royal status yet, so she enjoyed their time together as if she were just an ordinary girl. For the first time, she felt like someone was helping her achieve her dreams, and she started to fall for Ruslan. They sat together on the rooftop, watching the beautiful sunrise. But suddenly, a massive tsunami appeared and swept Mila away. Ruslan desperately tried to save her, but the storm was too strong. As the waves took Mila, it became clear that this wasn't just a storm. It was the evil magician Cornamore from the beginning of the story. He had come to capture Mila because of her love for Ruslan, hoping to gain power from their love. Seeing this, Ruslan vowed, "Don't worry, I will find you no matter where he takes you." After that, he gets caught by the king's guards. It reveals to Ruslan that Mila is not just a normal girl, she is actually a princess. Now the king questions him to know where the princess is hidden. Ruslan responds that she was taken by the magician Cornamore. The king laughs at this, thinking it's just a silly tale. Furious, he orders his soldier to take Ruslan to prison. While stuck there, Ruslan wonders how he will ever find the princess. Then, the king announces that whoever finds the princess will get to marry his daughter. Hearing this, everyone rushes out to search for the princess. On the other hand, with the help of his bird, Ruslan manages to escape from the soldiers. He quickly goes to his friend, who used to act with him in plays. Ruslan tells him everything about the evil magician Cornamore. But at first, his friend thinks he's just joking. Ruslan insists it's true and that he saw it with his own eyes. He explains that he learned from the book that Cornamore steals princesses every 100 years to gain power and turns them into stone. His friend then mentions that he stole this book from a library where a cat lives. Ruslan thinks that the author of the book must know how to reach Cornamore. He urges his friend to join him if he trusts him. Meanwhile, all the princes who are planning to rescue the princesses gather in one spot, but there are many paths ahead when they find out Ruslan is racing to save Mila. They all start to follow him. Ruslan travels a long way to a magical house inside a tree filled with thousands of books. His friend had stolen the book from this place. Suddenly, a cat appears and recognized Ruslan's friend and accused him of being the thief. For this, the cat transformed into a giant monster and began to chase them. After running for a long time, Ruslan realized that the only way to stop the monster was to calm it down. He quickly made a paper bird, which seemed to soothe the giant monster. Now Ruslan started sharing his troubles. He explained how Cornamore had captured the princess and that he was determined to rescue her. The cat listened carefully and revealed that Cornamore is a wicked magician who had the power to turn princesses into stone for 100 years to boost his own strength. This was similar to the story about the prince magician that they had heard earlier. The cat advised Ruslan that to save the princess, he needed to go to the magical city where she was imprisoned, and mentioned that the magician's power was hidden in his beard. If Ruslan could cut it, everything would return to normal. The cat also handed Ruslan a pea, but Ruslan had no idea what it was for. After that, Ruslan and his friends set off for the magical city. Meanwhile, inside the magician's palace, the princess woke up and was furious when she saw Cornamore. She began throwing everything she could find at him, thinking he wanted to marry her. When she learned his true intentions, her anger grew even more. Cornamore revealed that he planned to take her love and turn her into stone. In the chaos, the princess found a magical hat that made her invisible, giving her the chance to confront the magician without him noticing. Taking advantage of her invisibility, she decided to confront the magician who had been causing trouble. She boldly told him that she wouldn't cooperate until Ruslan arrived. Then Cornamore ordered a magical cake to find her. At the same time, his magic mirror revealed that Ruslan had indeed entered the magical city. Then he laughed with delight at the thought of what he could do to Ruslan. Meanwhile, in the human world, the prince who wanted to marry the princess found himself in the same library that led to the magical city. There was a mysterious door that could take him there, but he had no clue how to open it. Then the cat appears and starts attacks on them. After a struggle with the cat, they finally managed to enter the magical city. The prince noticed some footprints left by Ruslan and decided to follow them to find out where he had gone. Meanwhile, Ruslan found himself at a deep ditch that he needed to cross, but he was unsure how to do it. He remembered the pea he had received from the cat, but didn't know how to use it. He tried various methods, like rubbing the peas and burying them in the ground, but nothing seemed to work. Just then, a little squirrel appeared and snatched the pea from Ruslan's hand. Then he chased after it. The squirrel led Ruslan to a large stone, where it placed the pea in its mouth and forcefully pushed it against the stone, which turned out to be a dinosaur skeleton. To Ruslan's amazement, the skeleton created a bridge over the ditch. After crossing it, Ruslan befriended the squirrel and continued on his journey. Meanwhile, Mila was feeling very hungry and wanted to eat some cakes, but these cakes were actually monsters. She bravely fought them off with her sword and, in the end, defeated all the cake monsters. Here, Ruslan and his friends are making their way deeper into a cave. When Ruslan touches a statue, a loud scream echoes through the cave. An old man starts talking in a really strange way, acting like he's lost his mind and will do anything to survive. Ruslan soon realizes that this man is Finn, who has gone completely crazy because of Cornamore. Finn knows only how to defeat Cornamore. To convince him that they are good, Ruslan and his friends pretend that Finn's magic is working again. When Finn comes down, Ruslan grabs him and says, "Trust us. We're here to save our princess and take down Cornamore." Finn replies that no one can kill Cornamore. He explains that Cornamore's power is in his beard, but it can only be cut with a magic sword. But getting the sword won't be easy because a very strong man is guarding it. You'll have to take this sword from him. So, Ruslan and his friends continue on their journey. Meanwhile, we see the prince who has been following Ruslan come into the dark forest. They come across giant stone monsters and even a huge frog. On the other side, a giant face appears in front of Ruslan, and there's a box with a magic sword inside. This sword can cut Cornamor's beard, but the giant face warns Ruslan that he must take the sword from this place to claim it. At first, Ruslan is confused by the giant's words. Suddenly, all the dead warriors in the area rise up and start attacking him. Ruslan fights them off, but they just keep coming. Then he comes up with a clever plan. He remembers that the giant is allergic to squirrel fur, so he uses the squirrel to his advantage. He brings the squirrel close to the giant's nose, and it jumps right in. The giant sneezes loudly, causing all the zombies to scatter away from Ruslan. Now, he can easily grab the sword. After a while, he and his friends made it outside the palace, but they couldn't figure out how to get inside, so they decided to split up. Eventually, Ruslan found a way in and came across Mila. But Mila told him that she doesn't love him because he is just an ordinary guy. She preferred powerful men like Cornamor, who she believed would make her happy. She insisted that it would be better if he just left. Hearing this broke Ruslan's heart, and he walked away without taking Mila with him. Later, it turned out that the person he thought was the princess was actually Cornamor in disguise. Cornamor taunted Mila, saying that Ruslan was leaving and wouldn't save her. When Mila heard Ruslan's name, she stepped forward, but was captured by Cornamor, who wanted to use her to gain more power. Here Ruslan's bird knew that Mila couldn't really hate him, so it flew to the palace. There, it discovered that Mila hadn't even left the palace to meet Ruslan. When Mila saw the bird, she took off the locket from her neck and dropped it for the bird to carry to Ruslan, hoping he would see it and come to rescue her. As Ruslan was heading back, a giant stone monster sent by Cornamor attacked him, but his friend saved him just in time. The bird then brought the locket to Ruslan. When Ruslan sees the locket, he understands that everything happening around him was due to Cornamor's magic. With newfound determination, Ruslan takes on the challenge of defeating the giant stone monster using his magical sword. Meanwhile, Mila is in danger of being turned into stone, but Ruslan rushes to her side just in time. As Ruslan arrives, Cornamor laughs menacingly, claiming that Ruslan will never be able to betray him. In a dramatic twist, Cornamor transforms into a massive dragon, and an epic battle begins between Ruslan and the fearsome creature. The dragon seems incredibly strong, but Ruslan fights bravely, wielding his sword with skill. In a decisive moment, he manages to cut off the dragon's beards, causing Cornamor to revert to his true form, losing all his magical powers. With Cornamor defeated, the magic spells were broken, and the princesses who had turned to stone transformed back into their human selves. Finn, who had lost his magic earlier, also became a prince again. But Princess Mila was still trapped in her magical armor. Without thinking about his own life, Ruslan rushed in to rescue Mila. After he saved her, Ruslan sadly lost his life. Once Ruslan had done this brave act, the other prince arrived, looking for Mila, and they exclaimed, "Mila, I found you. Now you must marry me." Mila was furious and fought them off fiercely. After that, she turned to Finn and begged him to use his magic to bring Ruslan back to life. Finn also focused and successfully revived Ruslan. Mila was overjoyed to see him alive again. Then, Ruslan asked Mila to marry him, and she happily accepted, bringing the story to a heartwarming conclusion. What did you all think of this movie? See you at the next film. Thank you.